One of the things banks off of a previous thing that we knew, which was the derivative with respect to x of x is just 1, because it would be 1x to the 0. So this case says, what's the derivative of a constant times x? Well, really it would be the constant times 1, which is just the constant. So for instance, what's the derivative of negative 25x? Well, what that would be is negative 25, y prime would equal negative 25 times the derivative of x. Well, the derivative of x is 1, so the derivative of negative 25x is quite simply negative 25. What's the derivative of negative x over 3? Well, if you're good, you'll be comfortable looking at this as negative 1/3 times x. Negative x over 3 is the same thing as negative 1/3 times x if you pull that coefficient out in front. So then when I find the derivative of that, the constant remains the same, the constant multiple remains the same, the derivative of x is just 1, so the answer would be negative 1/3. Look at the next one. It says the proper use of parentheses can determine the success or failure of a student when taking derivatives. Parentheses matter. Oh my goodness, I can't express this enough. Parentheses matter. Okay? We learned when you have negative exponents, what do you bring down or what do you bring up? And the answer was only that which is in the parentheses. And if you can't get used to that, you will fail quickly in this course, so make sure you're comfortable with your exponential properties. So for instance, what I want to do is I want to look at this as 9/4 times 1 over x squared. 9 over 4x squared is the same thing as 9/4 times 1 over x squared, which is the same thing as 9/4 times, we need that x in the numerator, so this would be times x to the negative 2, x to the negative second power. So that's my y, and I want to find the derivative of that. To find the derivative of that, I'm going to keep the constant multiple the same, the 9/4. I'm going to find the derivative of x to the negative 2. Drop the power would be negative 2. Then we do x to the power minus 1. Again, be careful with your negatives. Negative 2 minus 1 is negative 3. I'm going to do some simplification here. What is 9/4 times negative 2? If you need to use your calculator, please do. That would be a negative 9/2. So if we have a negative 9/2, we have a negative 9 on top and a 2 on bottom. And then what I want to do is I want to look at this x to the negative 3. Notice the x is to a negative power, so I have to throw that into the denominator. And I want to be very careful here. Only the x goes into the denominator. That negative 2 does not move down. It is not raised to the negative power. Only the x is raised to the negative power. So this would be x to the positive 3 when it moves down. There's my final answer, a negative 9 over 2x cubed. So be careful with what you bring down and when you bring it down, what you bring up and when you bring it up. Look at the difference here. What about 9 over 4x quantity squared? Looks like the same problem, right? The only difference between part A and part B is the parentheses that's there. Let's take a look at this. What is 9 over 4x squared? Well, only because it's multiplication are we allowed to distribute that power to both of those terms. So this is really the same thing as 9 over 4 squared times x squared. Remember, you can only distribute the exponent if it's multiplication or division. You can never distribute an exponent if it's addition or subtraction. If it's addition or subtraction, we would have had to FOIL here. But we're able to distribute the exponent here. 4 squared is 16, and then we'd have x squared. So isn't this the same thing as 9/16 times 1 over x squared? Which isn't that the same thing as 9/16 times x to the negative 2? This is almost identical to what we did on the previous one. Well, that tells me when I want to find that derivative, the derivative, we keep that constant multiple the same. The constant multiple now is 9/16. The derivative again of x to the negative 2 would be negative 2x to the negative 3. We just figured that out. We need to do some simplification. Again, only the x is moving to the denominator because only the x is is raised to the negative power. So I need to look at 9/16 times negative 2. 9/16 times negative 2 is a negative 9/8. But then again, we need to move that x to the negative 3 down into the denominator, so that would be x to the positive 3 in the denominator. So my final answer is negative 9 over 8x cubed. Let's go to the next one here. Let's look at the square root of 5x. Well, isn't this really the same thing as the square root of 5 times the square root of x? Again, the only reason we are able to separate this is because it's multiplication or division. If it were addition or subtraction, you could not make that move. But knowing our radical properties and it is multiplication, we can separate it. Well, isn't this really the same thing as the square root of 5 times x to the 1/2? Square root of 5 is a constant multiple. It's not a nice number, but it is a number. So when we look at this and we want to find the derivative of y prime, that square root of 5 is a number. It's a constant multiple. It stays out in front. Now we need to find the derivative of x to the 1/2. Well, that would be 1/2 x to the 1/2 minus 1. 1/2 minus 1 is a negative 1/2. Again, only the x is raised to the negative power, so only x is going to the denominator. So what's the square root of 5 times 1/2? Well, that's the square root of 5 on top and a 2 on bottom. That x was raised to the negative power, so we're going to throw that in bottom as well. So that would be x to the 1/2 on bottom. But don't jump to conclusions yet, because remember, the original problem was a radical, which means our ending problem needs to be a radical as well. So this would be square root of 5 over 2 times the square root of x. I do not require that you rationalize the denominator, or in other words, we do not need to multiply the top and bottom times the square root of x. No need to do that. This is perfectly fine in this form right here. Let's look at the subtle difference between C and D. What I'm really emphasizing here is your handwriting matters. A lot of time on the test when I'm trying to read your work, your handwriting gets sloppy. And if your handwriting gets sloppy, I can't tell what you're doing, but more importantly, you can't tell what you're doing. So the question in this problem is, where does the radical stop? Is the variable underneath the radical or not? And sloppy handwriting can be the difference between success and failure on this problem. On C, it's very clear that the x is underneath there. On D, it's not so clear, but the t is not underneath the radical. So this is truly the square root of 5 times t. So if I want to find the derivative of that, f prime of t, that would be, well, square root of 5 again is a constant multiple, so that'd be square root of 5. And the derivative of t is simply just 1. So the square root of 5t is simply the square root of 5. Look at the difference between those four answers. The only difference between these problems is parentheses, and every single one of those four answers is completely different. So do parentheses matter? The answer is absolutely. Keep clear handwriting. Notice what's in the parentheses, what's not. When do I need to add the parentheses and when don't I? Be very careful with that and make sure you practice.